Hello. Now we came to the point where we have to insert our shoulder pads, and I already done it, and you have a shoulder pads and they could be quite thick here. So can you please make sure you take as many layers as you can and just only leave the gray layer, the canvas inside, then the one layer, which is the longest layer of your felt here, and then you've got the cover of that. So everything else you need to get things you're gonna get out. The shoulder pads really appear slightly later, and sometimes they come with different shape, and sometimes they just, usually been handmade, and it's a lot of wool or felt will be stuck together to create a nice shape to support the sleeve. So these days I intend more to actually buy already pre-made shoulder, and then just to do some kind of adjustments to that. But yeah, but you can make shoulder pads yourself in these days. So different tailors do differently. I just, for saving them time, I just use already pre-made shoulders. Take the main thickness out from the shoulder. Also, the shoulders pretty much appeared, roughly about beginning of the 19th century. If it's an 18th century, I would not intend to put any shoulder pads at all. But from 19th century, I try to put at least thin layer of the shoulders, because somehow it sits better visually on the person. So yeah, but the shoulder parts, it's sometimes in the original garments they don't have it at all, and they only have kind of like a support, like wool or wool wadding inserted into the area just to support. So what I would like you to do with this is to cut a little bit of the shoulders after when you take the big chunk out, just to have a good a little trim, so it's not so obvious. And also sometimes it can be too long for your shoulders, so that's why it's it's good to trim it. So I'm just trim that so it's not so curvy here, but also you can fold it on the center, so you can see little dots there. That's your center of your shoulder, and then place it to your shoulder on your garment to see if it fits or not. So I think if this one is a little bit too big, and about 1.5 2 centimeters, just going to draw the line that way, that shape. Can you see that? Just going to cut that away so it's not interfering during, when you apply your shoulders. So it's very important as well, so it doesn't go into your neckline or interfere with any similar. So now when you've done that, I'm going to keep the length because it's good support for the back as well. And that's why I like those type of shoulders, because they have support for the back. And also you need to remember how to apply your shoulders. So if you put them on the person, that side will be the back. So if I put the back B, and this one will be the front F. So you need to remember that. And your shoulders will have, can you see its natural curve? So that's how it will go. Okay, that's at the back, that's at the front, and you have a little hole here, which tells you that would be the center of your shoulders, not the shoulder of the same shoulder on your coat. So that's its natural shoulder on the body. Okay, so now I'm going to insert that, but similar what I've done with the ice wool, matching with my seam allowance. But what you need to do, you need to put your shoulder upside down like that. So that's how we're going to apply. So you turn it your armhole that way. So make sure, so that side is the back. So you can see obviously very clear, that's the back, and this the front, and that's what we do. So upside down, so front goes with the front, back goes with the back, and then you find on the shoulder, you find where the head, the main shoulder there, which is usually, it helps you with the sleeves marking. So it's here. And if you're not sure, you just pin it and then put on the mannequin or turn it inside out, check, make sure it sits properly. So now, can you see that? So that is the my original shoulder, natural shoulder on the body. It's here. So marching with the center and then going to pin that. If your shoulder pad slightly slides one side to another side, that's okay. But as long as obviously it sits on the shoulder. That's why it's important you pin it first and then check, make sure it's in the right place. But the marking on the sleeve, you know, the head of the sleeve, and you have the center of the head. That is actually helps if you keep that a little notch. It will help you to identify where the shoulder is. Yeah, so a natural shoulder. So I put like that. So pin it like that. All my seam, can you see that it became like quite thick seam allowance here, and that's all to do with holding your sleeve. Lots of students, for some reason, applying the shoulder pads against the actual machining line, not matching with your seam allowance. So you have to do that. But you also make sure you trim your seam allowance. You don't want to keep your seam allowance 2.5, otherwise the sleeve would not sit flat. Okay, so now in the same manner, but just into your seam allowance, you don't have to go very close to your stitching here, just just into your seam allowance, sorry. The stitches can be much bigger as long as attached nicely like that. So I'm trying to also to make it more straight, because remember, your shoulder have to be curvy. Okay, you don't want to be curved to another way, otherwise it would not sit. See, I make it straight when I'm attaching it. And I use like a big back stitch, so I stitch it back. I use a red thread because so you can see, but usually I would use just a tacking thread. Again, if the reason is soft and is disappeared quite easily into the fabric. Don't make it too tight, because if you make it too tight, it creates like a dimples here. You don't want that. So you just want it to be, you know, the shoulder be just nicely attached and sit properly. And also sometimes when you do have, you know, if it's too tight, it also stops moving. To be honest, you know, I don't make it too tight in those stitches here, so actually allow slightly to move, to curve it in that sense. So because I needed to put it back, to curve it back, so make sure it's gives space to do that. You go right to the end. Okay. It's important how you apply your shoulder. Sometimes, again, it's so easy to put the wrong shoulder to the wrong side, to the wrong sleeve. So the longest side is always at the back to support the back. There we go. So I'm just going to secure, and I'm going to show you what I've done. Now, can you see that? And then it attaches on that side. So they're all attaches there. Now, I would like you to check your seam. So if it's anything uneven or kind of something is sticking out, just trim. So my one is actually perfect, so it doesn't have, can you see that? all matching in one go. So that's very, very important. The next part I would like you to do, because can you see that keep flipping? I would like you to attach it that to your canvases. But where I do it, I create a little swing catch, and that way it helps. So again, you can use your tack and thread. It's nice and thick. I'm going to use red, so you can see double thread. It just helps you to create quicker your catching thread. Again, now that's quite common. If I just show you what happens here, so it's very, very common. Is can you see I stitched my facing too high, so I need to now to undo that and stitch it back. So I'm going to just remove a couple of stitchings, okay, very gently, okay, push inside, yeah, so push inside so my facing goes over the shoulder pads, yeah, so it's very common happens, so sometimes you can't predict where exactly it's finished. So in that sense, you know, just unpick a little bit, just keep it together. We're going to secure the shoulders, and then we're going to place your facing back, and I'm going to demonstrate that. So, so I'm glad it's happened, because so at least you know it's you know, it could happen to you as well. So now what we're going to do right in the end here, I would like to create the swing catch, and the reason I'm creating swing catch because it allows that area to be more flexible and move, and in order to sit properly. If it's going to be too solid, it would just pull the fabric. So that's why I usually do it with a swing catch. That then go to I'm sorry, that's fine. Go to my canvas. Just attach to through all your canvases. You put your hand underneath. Okay. The swing catch about 1 centimeter. You don't need it longer than that. So you, I think you learn how to do swing catch in your our unit. So go through all the. Okay, so now I have that space here. Can you see that? And I don't need to do too big, too thick. And you know, you can do with buttonhole stitch or just wrap around. So I'll just wrap around because no one's going to see it. But also it keeps all the threads together. So that way, okay, that's done. And then go up, so secure. You see that? Very quickly. And also, I somehow don't make it that area too tight either. So as long it's, you know, gives that flexibility, is fine. If it's too tight, it's poking. So yes, everything with tailoring, actually, it's a balance. Now, so when I've done that, so that's all attached, we need to make sure I put my facing back, okay? And to do that, so I have to lay that area flat like this. So you put pin, so make sure the pin is here. So it's only that area which is I had to unpick. So I'm going to put pin so it does stays in that area. Then can you see now? So that's where I'm going to secure from that point here. Okay. I'm going to use my tacking thread. Just going to turn around so you can see better. Okay. See that? So that's where I stop. I have to unpick that. So don't unpick it too much, otherwise it's not a good idea really. Now just to secure, and just go finish my attach it to your shoulders. and go to there. Okay, and now it goes to the point where I stop, have to unpick my stitching, so just secure. And because it's a tuck and thread, it's quite soft as well. So there we go. And that's why, if you see, I kept that stitching as well, just in case if I do need it to unpick. So this one stitching will go last, okay? So that's important that you follow precisely my instructions. Lovely. So now I'm just going to turn it inside out to check what has been done, and then I'm going to put on the mannequin to look as well. But it's already, it looks so lovely. So how nice and puffed up. And to be honest, if you press your sleeve already very nicely, you don't need to actually repress it anymore. Look at that, it's already perfect. But I will still steam it, so to give the guide to all the canvases I have. Okay, so perfect, and all your eyes will support in the right place. Okay, so if yours one looks exactly the same as my one, then the job well done. Okay, and I see you next session. So we're going to finish your lining. Bye.